Hello everyone and welcome to another Contention server guide where today we're going to be looking at buddy lasing. This is the ability of one aircraft to laze for another aircraft, and specifically here we're going to be looking at how to use the FAC or Forward Artillery Command System in order to do this. This is particularly going to be focused on the Contention Cold War server where this is really useful. But you can use the exact same techniques in the SRAH or modern settings if that's what you feel like. So first off then, what is buddy lasing? Well, this is where one aircraft drops a laser-guided bomb, but a different aircraft is actually shining the laser on the target. The bomb doesn't care who's shining the laser, it's just following the laser reflection, and so we can have these pairs set up, just like using a JTAC to laze for you. Now, why this is useful in particular on the Contention Cold War server is that there are lots of aircraft there that have laser-guided bombs, but there aren't a lot of targeting pods or other laser sources, so you can load up your A-10 with a bunch of laser-guided bombs, but you can't shine them, so they're essentially just dumb bombs in fancy packing. However, we do have the Forward Artillery Command System, which is available to warbirds and helicopters, as well as the early trainers. And although on Contention Cold War you can't call in artillery, you can still smoke targets and laze targets with these. And so if you've got a pair of aircraft, one flying one of these lasing aircraft and one flying a big plane full of laser-guided bombs, then you can do really accurate weapon strikes here. This really helps make up for the fact that precision munitions are limited. This gets you options to very easily clear out, say, all of the tanks at an airfield very quickly. So first up, what do you need to do from the perspective of the lasing aircraft? Well, this is almost identical to calling in artillery with the FAC system. You select a target. Once you're in range, you get the FAC pop-up letting you know when you're in range of targets. I won't be going over the procedure for that since I've already covered this in an FAC video, but I will link that above if you need a reminder. Once you have selected your target, then simply go back to that FAC comms menu, and instead of firing on target, you can select laze target. This then pops up with a list of 5 different frequencies that you can laze at: 1688, 1665, 1669, 1776, and 1111. Once you select these, the lasing will then begin and your buddy will be able to drop the bomb. Lasing will be continuous for 2 minutes. There is a cooldown between laser cycles. Once you are lasing, you also can't turn it off, you just have to wait for the laser cycle to end. Now, one additional thing that you can do here at the same time to make it easier for your buddy is to, at the same time, drop smoke on the target, and particularly if you're using a particular coloured smoke, so you can call this out. This will just help your buddy be able to know vaguely what area they should be aiming the bomb for. One little tip here is it's probably a good idea to drop the smoke before you start lasing, because there is a few second delay in the smoke actually starting and then becoming visible, and probably a little bit more of a delay before your buddy actually gets eyes on that smoke. And so it's a good idea to do that first, then start lasing. By the time the laser's on, the smoke will probably be there. Otherwise, all you need to do is maintain a line of sight of the target, and you will continuously laze. From the perspective of the other aircraft, the one dropping the bomb then, first thing you need to do is set up a loadout with laser-guided bombs, and you want to make sure these are on one of those 5 frequencies. The good news here is that by default, laser-guided bombs are set to 1688, which is the first option for dropping those codes. But if you do want to use another setting, say you want to avoid confliction in an area with multiple people doing this, then you will have to set up one of the other codes. Some aircraft, like the A-10C, can do this in the air. A lot of aircraft you'll have to do this on the arming menu. But otherwise, the procedure is just like dropping any other bomb. You can be in CCIP mode or CCRP mode, or just dumbfiring it and being good at guessing. You don't need to be super accurate, you just need to put the bomb vaguely near the target, The higher you are, the better the bomb will be able to track, so ideally get quite high and drop these. Really only need to drop one 500-pound bomb and that will take out anything it hits. This will take out a main battle tank, it will take out any of the shulker sites. The only thing it will have trouble with is the HQ, but you can't target the HQ with the FAC system, so that's not an issue here. Otherwise just pickle as normal, then you can go do your own thing. You don't need to do anything particular. Your bomb will find its way and will hit the target as long as you've dropped it vaguely in the area. Now, the big secret to making this all work is communication. You're going to need a buddy to be able to do this with, and you need to be in constant communication with that buddy. The bombing aircraft needs to let the lasing aircraft know when it is in the area and ready. The lasing aircraft needs to let the bombing aircraft know when the laser is going in, what they are lasing the vague area, and ideally put smoke and call out that smoke. Then the bombing aircraft really should say that they're in on the target, so the lasing aircraft knows that, and very much when the bombing aircraft drops the bomb, they should very much report that they've dropped the bomb, so the lasing aircraft knows to maintain that line of sight. Also really good for the bombing aircraft to keep an eye out and let the lasing aircraft know when the bomb has hit home and what effect that's had. Normally this will be a kill, occasionally something will go wrong and it will miss, but it's good to let the lasing aircraft know whether to move on or continue on that target. Now you can absolutely do this over SRS. You will be tying up a channel a lot because there's a lot of conversation going back and forth here, so you might want to go to one of the alternate channels there, or I've had a lot of success using Discord calls for this. Then you can be absolutely free of talking as much as you want with your buddy. Now, I personally have had a lot of success doing this with an A10C with lots of 500-pound laser guided bombs, teaming up with a MB339 who is doing the lasing. But you'll also be able to do this with helicopters or warbirds doing the lasing. They all have their own advantages and disadvantages. And I know that the F5 also has laser-guided bombs, as do other aircraft, so anything that has laser-guided bombs that can tune to those frequencies should be able to do this, no problem. Otherwise, that really is how you do this in a nutshell, so if you have any questions, please do leave them down below. I'm working on plenty of guides going forward, but if you have any particular suggestions, please do leave those down below as well, and otherwise I hope to catch you in a future video. Till then, remember to be kind to yourselves and everyone else. Cheers.